All right, we are back with another pick'em video. Going to be going over my favorite plays for the NBA today. We got a decent amount of games, so there's definitely a lot of value, some great matchups as well. So it should be a fun day for the NBA. Now, I will say Prize Picks isn't giving me the lines that I'm liking today, but I did find a decent stacking opportunity in some lines that I'm really liking. So if you're new to this channel, definitely go ahead and subscribe. We rip out daily content like this every single day. Leave the video a like so more people can see it, as well as comment anything down below. It just tells YouTube to push this video out a little bit more. And if you're new, we go over our video picks every single day. It doesn't matter if I go 0 for 5 or 5 for 5. I'm going to go over them, kind of what happened. And pretty solid day. We should have had the sweep too. Bogdanovich, this one looks closer than it was. He got it going in the fourth quarter. Definitely had a few buckets in a row, but stayed under pretty handily. Shea picked up 2 steals very consecutively, I think later in that game, maybe the third quarter, because he didn't have any by halftime, but did get there for us. He's been killing this line. Brandon Miller killed it. LaMelo Ball was kind of the main play of yesterday, but I saw, Brandon Miller's been getting the ball a lot more usage, especially with no Rozier after that trade. The youth movement is on, and LaMelo's part of that, but Brandon Miller needs to get his touches as well. Luke Kennard DNP'd. And then Lou Dort, this one sucked. We should have swept. We really should have swept. And I'm going to show you the plays because he had 3 wide open 3-pointers, wide open. I was watching the game. And the third one I really thought was going to go down, ends up airballing it. This is going to be, my computer's not very powerful, so it's probably going to be laggy. I want to play these just to show you guys. I don't know how the audio is going to be either. But this is 10-10, 7:54 left in the game. These are all wide open. This is his first shot. Talked about him being more of a defender. Extra pass. Wide open in the corner, set shot. I would have made that. So that one was unfortunate. It was still early on. We had some hope. Go to the next one. And this one hurt because he got back-to-back here. So there's 4 minutes, 20 seconds left in the first quarter. Again, this is about the same spot, too. Finds him wide open again. That one hurts. So you see that rebound get tipped back out. That goes right back out to him. And he gets another set shot. This is right after this. Tipped out, right back to him. Another one, set shot, airball. So that was unfortunate. We definitely should have got there. It was a good read. I'm not too worried about it, but just an unfortunate one there. But yeah, let's jump into the board and get some plays going. I did go back and watch that. That was so laggy. If anyone knows how to fix that, or if there's some way to make that smoother in terms of screen sharing and uploading, let me know, because that was horrible. But hopefully you got the gist of it. And yeah, I got a stacking opportunity. I'm going to start right there because the game's earlier. And one of the teams is someone that I don't typically love to go to unless I'm going to the under, and that's going to be the Wizards. I'll show the game real quick right here. It's Utah versus Washington. I think there's a great stacking opportunity for overs. It's a 245.5 total. That's the highest on the day. So we'll be talking about this for the first, 5 to 10 minutes here. But I'm going to go to the Wizards here. And I think there's a decent stacking opportunity with Tyus Jones and Kyle Kuzma. I'll show you their stats and everything like that. But I'm going to go to Tyus Jones, 29.0 fantasy score. He's been playing really well lately. And I'm going to go to Kuzma for his fantasy score as well. Now, when people call these a stack, I don't typically agree, especially if it's like points, rebounds, assists. I understand if they're both playing well, maybe it's a close game, maybe they're both getting, minutes. But like in terms of like PRA or fantasy score, I typically think if one guy's playing well and getting over his fantasy score, then it wouldn't make sense to do another guy's over fantasy score on the same team, because they'd be taking away stats from each other. But I did look into this one, and it makes a little bit more sense because these guys are totally different positions, point guard, power forward, whatever you want to be. They've assist each other a decent amount, which is the biggest thing for me. And then blocks and steals against Utah is huge. So it's a great matchup. And I actually went ahead and did a correlation test over on ChatGPT. I pretty much just uploaded their game logs for the entire season and kind of said, hey, is there any correlation between them going over their fantasy score, under their fantasy score? And I gave it PrizePicks fantasy score. And it did pop out that there's a moderate positive correlation. And it ends up that in 26 of the games, so 26 of their 43 games, that's about a 60% time, they either both go over their fantasy score or both go under their fantasy score. So you can read this right here. It's giving me a number in terms of their correlation. But I did I looked into this, and they, either hit or miss together a decent amount, 60% of the time, which is pretty solid. And then looking at this is a stat that just shows me assist to player to scorer to player. So if I type in Tyus Jones as the assist player, who does he assist the most on the season? If I can type his name right. We see that Kyle Kuzma, 88%, or not percent, I said percent last video too. 88 times he's assisted Kyle Kuzma, which is almost, or it is double the next guy, which would be Jordan Poole. So he likes to assist Kyle Kuzma. That's good to see. And then for Kuzma, his best assist target is Tyus Jones by a decent amount as well. So they play well together. They play well off each other. And it's a great opportunity for them, as well as having the hit rates and the projections and the odds liking it as well. So let's go over again to the matchup. And that's really where we're going to be focusing on the matchup here. The hit rates for these guys is not the best in the world. And we'll be looking at points, rebounds, assists, just because we can't get a fantasy score tab on Outlier just yet. I think they are working on it, which would be great to have. But we'll look at PRA. So 7 to 10, he's gone under this. We'll switch this to the over. So that's 3 to 10 games going over this. Now, it doesn't say the whole story just because it is fantasy score and has other things that give us points. So, a 22 PRA and we have a 29 fantasy score. If he gets a block or a steal or multiple of those, that's huge for us. And again, we're looking at the matchup here. Points allowed 23rd, assists allowed 28th. That's where he's going to do most of his damage. So that's good to see that this is a good matchup. And then looking at blocks and steals, this is something that he can go out and do. Pretty consistently gets at least a 1. And if he gets 3, that'd be huge for us. But steals and blocks allowed 28th and 29th. So it's a team that really does give up a whole bunch of blocks and steals. And if you look at the last few games he's played, Minnesota, Denver, San Antonio, easy run, but New York, he has been playing some tougher matchups. So it's good to see that even against these harder teams, he's been able to do, have some sort of success. So if he misses his PRA, it's been very close, very consistently, around there. So there's Tyus Jones. Again, not hiding anything. Just wanted to show you that the hit rate's not amazing on PRA specifically. But let's go to Kuzma. This one looks a little bit better, but again, we'll have to look at it on RotoWire to kind of fully grasp the hit rate for fantasy score. But 60% of last 10, he's been under this. Again, this is favoring the under. But over this, again, looks really not the best. 40% of the last 10, pretty consistent in terms of what he's been doing, though. And then again, points allowed, assists allowed is right there. And we already looked at the blocks and steals potential here. And he's another guy that is potentially going to go out there and get a few blocks and steals, which is nice for the fantasy score. So good matchup is the biggest thing here. But let's go to the odds. It looks a little bit better on the odds, and then we'll look at the projection model. But going over to DG Fantasy, we can see Tyus Jones will pop up here. I'm pretty sure his fantasy score will be his top line, which it is. 53.31% chance to hit is what they're giving it. Again, we're getting it at 29.0 on PrizePicks. On DraftKings, it's 30.1. On BetMGM, it's 30.1, so pretty consistent over there. So that is good to see that we're getting a little bit of a discount in terms of market value. And then we can go check it out on RotoWire's projection model. Let's get Tyus Jones up here. And we're seeing fantasy score popping up. They're projecting 32.2, which is great to see. And then a little bit easier to see the hit rate over here. 53% weighted hit rate. That gives a little bit more weight to games that are more recent. So, is on the above a 50% hit rate. So with the matchup, that looks good as well. Let's go to Kuzma. Same kind of deal. Type in Kuzma. Now, I want to point out he has an assist line that looks really good right now, 4.5 assists. If you want to just go that route, totally go for it. But I think he could have a good scoring game as well against Utah. And his fantasy score is popping up right here, 35.5. DraftKings has this at 36.6. BetMGM's at 35.4. So not the best in the world, but it is good to see that DraftKings, someone that kind of specializes in DFS, is having this a little bit higher than PrizePicks. So in terms of market value, we are getting a little bit of a boost here as well. And then let's go to RotoWire, see what they are projecting. And it's going to be Kyle Kuzma, 40.74 on their projection. So that's much higher than what we're getting at 35.5. And then the hit rate, again, has been a lot better. 80% of the last 5, he's been over this, and 60% of the last 10. So despite the outlier PRA not looking the best, it's just the great matchup. And I think that they either both hit or they both miss. So Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma, I think it's a good stacking opportunity. But let's continue on. I think there is definitely some ways that you could go against Utah, or not against Utah, but for Utah in this matchup as well. I just don't love what they're giving us on PrizePicks right now. If we go ahead and clear this and just look at Utah, or I think we can even just search Utah. Just search Utah and see what they're giving us. There's not much on the over, except for Jordan Clarkson PRA, which is what we're going to go to next. So 27.5, Pinnacle's got this at 28.5, which is nice to see. DraftKings at 28.5. Pretty much everyone else is 28.5. But that's where we're going to go. And I was going to show you that everywhere else is either on the under or, it's lines that I don't really care about. Laurie Markkinen 2.53s is another one I looked at. But yeah, really the best one over here, again, kind of game stacking this whole game, is 27.5 for Jordan Clarkson. So let's just go look at that right away. We'll pop that in there. 27.5 for Clarkson. And we're going over here. So let's go look him out over on Outlier. Clarkson popping over at 27.5. Again, another great matchup. This should be a high scoring affair. And we're going over here. We can see he's gone over in 50% of the games. In terms of 2023, 51% of the games. But again, this is a team that struggled early on. And when the team gets blown out, or if they do the blowing out, they're not going to get the full minutes. I expect this one to be close. Again, it's kind of a full game stack here. And if he gets, at least 25 minutes, let's say, which he usually does, this turns into 62% of the games that he's gone over. And they've been playing really well lately. He hit 7 of 10 in the last games. So looking really good. The matchup's incredible here. So really like this spot for Jordan Clarkson. And we're getting great odds at minus 130. We already checked it out. 28.5, a lot of other places. So this one will probably get bumped. So yeah, great game stack altogether. Do want to show the RotoWire projection though. And we'll get Jordan Clarkson. And they are projecting his fantasy score over. They're projecting his PRA on the over here. It's actually probably the best one. Yeah, so RotoWire is projecting 30.63. That's great to see. And Pick'em sites looks like Underdog and Sleeper both have this at 28.5. So definitely try to get this one in quick because it will be moving soon. And yeah, that's our full game stack for this first Utah and Washington game. So besides that stack, we have 2 more plays. I'm going to go to Karl-Anthony Towns to start us off here. And he did just score 62 points, but the way they did it, his coach was not too happy with it. And in that game, I think he had 10 3-pointers, but I'm going to go under for his 2.5 3-pointers made. Something he's been going under pretty recently, or not recently, but pretty consistently all year. And yeah, his coach was not happy with the way they were playing. So let's pull up Towns. Let's go to his 3-pointers made at 2.5, and we'll check out how he's been doing so far this year. Right here, under 2.5 3-pointers made. Now, I will say, in terms of matchup, this is not the best line in the world. Brooklyn gives up a whole bunch of 3-pointers. It does get a little bit better to power forwards specifically. But yeah, we can see he's under 50% of the games. Again, he had 10 of those things 2 games ago against Charlotte. And then against Washington, he put up 10 3-pointers on the night, only made 2. So he's been shooting them a lot more. But again, I think the coach is going to be like, hey, that was disgusting basketball. We ended up losing to Charlotte in the game that Towns scored 62 just because we were trying to feed him the ball. And I think they go back to their brand of basketball. 72% of the games this year, he's gone under this. He does get 2 a decent amount, so it could be a little sweaty. And he has been shooting it a little bit more, especially recently. But these ones are kind of outliers. If he shoots, 5 or 6, I like our chances of going under here. He is shooting 45% on the year. He's one of the better big man 3-point shooters. But again, I like the hit rate in terms of the whole year, and the odds are loving this one as well. So under 2.5 3-pointers. Let's go do his odds over here, though. We'll pull up Towns, kind of see where that market value is if we're getting some good value on this PrizePicks line. And we're seeing under 33.5 popping up as his top one. This is a new line, so things are definitely moving. If you want to go to that, this will probably bump down to 32.5. That's what these fantasy optimizers are good for. You're going to get lines that are moving around before they can move around. So 33.5 on points and rebounds. That could be solid for sure. But we do see 2.5 3-pointers made, 53.21% chance to hit. Pinnacle's got this at minus 130. FanDuel's got this at minus 138, and then minus 130 across the board otherwise. So definitely some great odds, some great market value that we're getting here. And again, his coach was not happy with the way they were playing. So I like Towns under. Let's go to the projections model, see if it's coinciding with what we're saying, correlating. Towns will go to his 3-pointers made, and they are projecting 2.15. So that is good to see. They are on the under. If he gets 2, again, that doesn't hurt us. It might be a little sweaty, but it won't hurt us. It will just be tough if he gets that 3rd one. Now, if you're scared of this one, I totally understand. He did just have 10 3-pointers 2 games ago. But yeah, I'm liking this. The odds are liking it as well. And I think it's just boosted up right now because of that big explosion. So we're getting some good value here. And then the next guy we're going to go to is Steph Curry. This is a line that I went to yesterday. It cashed for me at So it was at 5.5. So it's already bumped up to 6. That's okay. I think you could definitely still do this. You can see the hit rate's been great. He's been assisting the ball extremely well, especially with Draymond out. Now Draymond is back, but he continues to do this, and it's another high scoring affair going up against a team that he's known really well because they played in the playoffs most recently. So 6.0 assists is not the end of the world. But again, if you're trying to get these lines before they bump, like I do, it's definitely your best shot to try to get one of these fantasy optimizers. It's very seamless. You get these lines that are popping up as like the best lines on the board right now. So if I were to take away Towns, we can go ahead and see, every line on here. Mike Conley under 2.5 rebounds. This probably will not be available pretty soon. Fantasy score for Wiggins. This only has one data point, so sometimes I stay away from those. Denny Advia under 10.5 rebounds and assists. Again, you don't even have to do your own research. These are just where the best lines are that are going to get bumped down. Now, I don't blindly go off of these, but it's nice to be able to start here and be like, okay, at least I'm getting great market value. Let me see if this makes sense. So that line is at 6.0 now. I'll show you the thought process why I was liking this line. Again, I went to this yesterday on Sleeper actually at 5.5. And it's probably still on Sleeper at 5.5. That's why it's good to have multiple platforms to go to. So check out Sleeper, or Underdog or Chalkboard, any of those things. They are in my links in the description. So check those out if you want deposit matches. But let's go to Steph Curry, kind of check out where that line was. It will probably pop up at 5.5 for us here, which it does. And again, we saw the hit rate just on PrizePicks, but 8 of the last 10 games, he's at least pushed this line. So you still, again, could go to this. But at 5.5, you could see how this was looking really good, especially going up against Sacramento, who gives up a decent amount of assists. Now the head-to-head, you got to take this with a grain of salt because most of this is last year. They did face off against each other back in November twice, and he got 6 assists once. And then this was really early in the season, but he only had 3. And you can kind of see he's picked it up throughout the season as a distributor. Beginning of the year, again, when Draymond was kind of sane, he didn't have to do much of the assist making, and Chris Paul also being healthy. But with those guys both being injured and out, or injured or out, he's again been assisting the ball extremely well. And 5.5, this was looking incredible. So if you want to go for it at 6, definitely do that. If you want to do that on Sleeper, definitely check out my code Rich or the link in the description. They're also doing Wildcard Wednesday. So this was yesterday for Luka's line, 26.5. But we still do have these discounts up for Wildcard Wednesday. McCaffrey down to 69.5 rush yards, and Lamar Jackson down to 168.5 passing yards. So both really, really good lines, very discounted lines. So if you want to get that Steph line, definitely go ahead and go over to Sleeper or Chalkboard, or maybe even Underdog still has it. But yeah, Steph Curry over 5.5 or 6 assists, wherever you want to play it, is another good line. And I don't know why my stack went away, but let me get that back up. Okay, so it got pulled away because Kuzma and Clarkson also got a little bit of a bump. So Clarkson did go to that 28.5. Kuzma did go to that 36.0, and then Tyus Jones here. So again, any of these optimizers, Daily Grind Fantasy is a great one because it has fantasy scores as well. 25% off your first month if you want to try that. Or OddsJam, you get a free week trial. So if you want, a week trial to try out an optimizer, OddsJam is great as well. So try them both, or try them, one of them. But if you hit my links in the description, just let them know that I sent you there, and then you get those perks, whether it's 25% off or a free trial. But check those out. Again, that's why I'm getting these lines in. I'm able to see, hey, this makes sense. Let me try to look at this. Or I might say, oh, Denny Advia under 10.5. Nah, he's been crushing this. I don't like his matchup. And I'm going to stay away from that. But again, just shows you good market value, and you can go from there. So it's a nice starting point for sure. But yeah, these are our plays. Karl-Anthony Towns under 2.5 3-pointers made. Steph Curry over 5.5 assists. This got bumped to 6. Tyus Jones over 29.0 fantasy score. Stacking this with Kuzma over 35.5. This got bumped to 36. If you're in the Discord, you got these before the bump. And then Jordan Clarkson over 27.5 PRA, which got bumped to 28.5. So definitely check out the tools. Check out Sleeper. If any of these things do get bumped, you can definitely check it out on Sleeper. You'll get a $500 deposit match, so check them out using code RICH. Alternate lines, too. If you think, maybe you think Clarkson's going to have a great scoring game, but you don't think he's going to get to his PRA of 28.5, you can bump this down to like 22.5 over on Chalkboard. So that's interesting. And then Underdog, some of the lines that aren't up on PrizePicks yet, they can be on underdog or vice versa. So it's nice to line shop. So definitely check out any of the apps. They have deposit matches using my codes. And then any of these tools, you will get either a free trial or a discount if you want to use one of my codes. So that will do it. Again, great stacking opportunity. I expect these either all to hit or all to miss. And then these two lines, again, we kind of talked about them in depth. But yeah, hopefully make some money tonight, and there should be a fun day of basketball. Peace out.